Good afternoon, everybody. June 16th, special day in my life, my nephew's birthday, and I share that birthday as well. So welcome everybody to our virtual town hall, a small business forum for our weekly session. Going to talk about several things today with the SBA, with Mark Haywood and DLT, Matt Weldon, and we have some businesses on as well, and some town administrators that are very concerned about the small businesses in their community. And also, one of the things that we're going to discuss is the fact that right now we have a statewide school opening of August 31st. That's going to impact many, many small businesses in the state in a negative way. And hopefully we're going to be able to figure out a way to have the local communities decide when the start date will be so they can time it in a way so that the businesses that has been lost by many of our small businesses in the state of Rhode Island, and we at least get a little bit of a time frame to help them recover. And that's what we're in the recovering stage right now. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, tune in. We're going to have an ongoing show that relative to the racial issues, and we're going to have a specialist on racial bias police training, as well as two chief of police and Jim Vincent, NAACP. That'll be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. It's an ongoing discussion. We've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that we have racial equality in our state, which we work very hard on, and you're going to hear about that. So right now, let's bring on Matt Weldon from the DLT. Matt, thank you for being here again, and you're looking good. And Joe Rodeo from our office. Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Governor. How are you?
Here. We're doing good. We're trying to figure it out. I think just like you are. I know that it's challenging, and we've been out and about, Matt, with a number of the businesses now, trying to visit one or two a day, not being out too much, but yeah, they're very appreciative of the help that you're providing. Got into a little discussion with one of the businesses about the WorkShare program yesterday, and they weren't really fully aware of it, but I think it might apply to them. So we're continually trying to educate and then listen to what's happening in terms of protecting our small businesses out there. So, Matt, give us an update, and thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure. First of all, on behalf of everyone here at DLT, happy birthday. Hope you get to enjoy it with your family.
Thank you so much.
Claims continue to come in. We received 2,000 claims yesterday. That's a big number, and that's actually a bit higher than it has been for a week or so. So now we're up to 253,153 claim filings. 67,984 of those are for the PUA program, and TDI is holding steady at about 25,730. So we're still pretty busy. The good thing is most of the processes now have been automated, or we've created a process where people are able to connect relatively quickly with their benefits. And we've been able to go in and clean up some of the traps that we had from before. And so some of those things were people that were waiting on back payments for the PUA program that, we were the first in the country to go live on April 7th or April 8th. And technically that program can get backed up even another month. So we've been making those back payments. We brought in a number of retirees to help us process through some things. They did all those manually last week. I'm sure there are plenty that weren't done for whatever reason, and people that are caught in that trap should email the LTGOV20 email address that I'm sure Shay will put up on the screen in just a moment. That way, your office is able to communicate with me, and what I do is just search for your office's emails in my email box, and I try to respond to them as quickly as I can. We'll get those people paid, I promise. The big issues of the day remain the fraud issue that we're working with in WorkShare. On fraud, we've been dealing with essentially two groups. We have one group, which is the employer group. We want to make sure we're protecting that trust fund. The trust fund is there to help pay benefits. It's contributed to by employer taxes on payroll. It's our job and our obligation to make sure that we pay out in an appropriate manner. And so when we see claims that look like they could be fraudulent, and that's like a claim that's an imposter fraud claim, like somebody filed one in my name, that's clearly fraud. We put a stop on it, and we make sure no money goes out the door. There are also other indicators through analytics tools that indicate to us that these claims may be fraudulent for a number of reasons. And just one reason, just that it's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's true. We had 68 claims filed that all used the same bank account for their payments. That's an indicator that that's a fraudulent account. Those are all fraudulent accounts because they're all pointing money to one account that somebody put in all those claims to different people. So we're trying to deal with those. We put some stops on claims. We have an agreement with the federal court and with the ACLU that will notify people when we put a stop on claim. We'll do it simultaneously. And so what we're doing is sending emails and mail out. We're letting people know that you should contact us. You can call our hotline, which is 234-4280. One of the options, it's the very first option once you listen to the message, says if you received a notice from DLT that your claim was stopped due to potential fraud, please press this button. You'll essentially give your information to somebody on the hotline, and that will give us the info. Within 48 hours, we'll talk to that person, validate who they are, and issue the payments. We're doing that as quickly as we can. Last week, we issued between 600 and 700 of those payments after stops went out. This week, they're coming in far fewer, which is good. The other issue is WorkShare, and I've been talking to you about how it's a manual program. We've done a lot to automate that program. This morning, I got the email from IT that said that they've done the automation and it's ready for testing. Anyone that's familiar with any kind of IT system knows that you have to user test it before you go live. The worst thing we could do is tell thousands of people to use a system and then it doesn't work at all. Then we'd have to go in and clean it up. So they're testing today and tomorrow. I expect by the end of the week, we'll be live with a modified version of the WorkShare application. You'll also, I'm sure you've read that there are public employers that are starting to go into the WorkShare plans. We had dealt with USDOL on that issue. It looks like we're going forward. Right now, the state of Rhode Island is engaged, and there are other public entities. I believe tomorrow I'll be on some kind of a web forum with the League of Cities and Towns. And so there are town administrators on today. I believe tomorrow morning that you have a standing session, and I'll join with a couple of my colleagues, and we'll answer all your WorkShare questions. Other than that, Governor, we're plugging away. We try to be responsive. Yep. I urge people to go through you, and I'll do my best to respond.
Yeah, and you have again this week, Matt. So thank you so much. Again, I just want to let people know that are watching the program or going to be watching it on tape. Matt's a great resource. DLT and his whole staff are there with Scott as well. Really answering the call, and it's going to be tough sledding right now, as I'm seeing a lot of the small businesses open up, and several of them are still not opened up, Matt. So that it's going to be a constant now. I don't know what you're projecting, but it's certainly going to be several months of this extraordinary work that you're doing. So thanks for doing that work, and please share our thank you from our office to your entire staff for the help that you're providing. But Joe, do you have any questions at all right now of Matt?
No, thanks. Most of the questions we get now just related to individual cases, so we let them know to go through the email address and just echo the thanks and keep up the good work, and hope you get a nice lengthy vacation when it's all through.
I think that WorkShare is going to be popping up quite a bit now as we educate people on that. And like I said, one of the businesses I visited yesterday, they have a music venue that has not been allowed to open up yet. They've got a PPP loan. They were smart enough to hold on to it. They might be able to use it, over this extended period of time that Mark will be talking about. But they have another business that's separate and apart from that, and they're starting to open that up. I think they are a candidate because they're not fully open right now. So, sure. Your office will be the judge of that, but we encourage every business out there to think they might. I know it's more work for you, Matt, but
that's what we're here for.
Right. That's what you're there. Yeah. And whatever, if you're out there and you have a business that's not fully operating, this WorkShare program can be helpful to you. So contact our office, 222-2371. And we'll get you that information. Ben, go ahead.
Hey, Matt. So I just want to ask a couple questions for the people. Diane says, where does your money come from? Does it ever run out? Thanks for all that you've done.
So unemployment is paid from a trust fund that the state manages. State employers pay a payroll tax on all their employees. That money goes into a state trust fund. The state tax money goes into a state trust fund, and we pay benefits out of that. It does run out, and occasionally it runs out because of a sudden, rise in claims like we're dealing with right now. We were pretty fortunate that we had turned that trust fund around in the last few years. It was as healthy as it had ever been, and employers had seen 3 tax reductions over 4 years because of that. And now we're spending that money pretty quick. However, when I say it runs out, the state fund runs out, but then we trigger automatically to a federal account. So claimants should not get nervous. There would never be a chance or an opportunity for them not to collect. If they are eligible and they're in payment status, they will get a benefit. We don't get to a point where we say, sorry, no more money. The federal government will loan it to the state. Of course, Congress, our delegation is pressing Congress to make any of those loans forgivable, so we don't have to pay that back. But they will cover the cost of those benefits, so people don't have to worry about that.
Great.
We have another question. Good afternoon. A work-share question. When providing guidance to employees to start their individual claims online, is there a question or checkbox they need to make sure to check that they are part of a business organization that is in the work-share program?
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about with the electronic submission. I would say there will be, by the end of the week, probably an option. When you file a claim online, one of the things it asks you is your reason for separation. Were you terminated? Were you laid off? Did you quit? One of them is going to be work-share. And when you do that, there'll be another option based on your employer that will link you directly to their plan. So instead of us having to having to submit an application for every employee, then us having to go in and manually input all of those, it's going to do that in the system. It's not live right now, so if you try it right now, it won't work. It may be live by the end of the week.
My son worked as a bus monitor for a school department, started in November 2019 and was laid off due to COVID stay-at-home order. Okay, that was just a clarification. Sorry about that. I have a question. Is there any, I asked this question before, is there any help for nonprofits with no employees?
So that would probably be, I would think, a PPP loan or something like that. I don't know if they're eligible. It's not a DLT issue. The people that work at the nonprofit, even if they don't have employees, but they must have leadership, if they draw a salary or wages, would be eligible to apply for either UI or PUA.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good job, Ben. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Stick around, Joe. I think Mark Haywood is here. Mark, join us if you're around. Oh, Liz Tanner. Hi, Liz. Oh, you're on like a full screen. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. I knew that the word was out, so I figured I would try to preempt that in my opening comment because I know there were many people out there. Well, thank you so much for that sign. That's a wonderful thing.
Just want to make sure you knew I was saying happy birthday. This is the most creative thing I've been able to do in a long time. So thank you for the chance.
Thanks, Liz. And you're on a full screen today, so it's good. You must be off the phone. You must be on the computer.
Yes, I finally figured out how to make it all work. So
I thought I was switching to a new computer today, but again, I need a little bit more time to figure it out. I've been told that you can't hear me, but you can hear me, can't you?
For sure, no problem.
Good. Okay. All right. So you've been busy. Oh, yes. Tell us how it's going.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First, there's a bunch of new guidance documents that have come out either today or yesterday. And there's some coming out this afternoon. It's a wide variety of things. I won't even attempt to go through it, but if you've been waiting for something, you should take a look at reopeningri.com to see if anything's come there. I also wanted to talk about complaints. So with bars and restaurants opening, I hear a lot of people who talk about it, but we haven't actually gotten many complaints about them. So we are now doing inspections for both bars, restaurants, cosmetology, hair salons, tattoo, tanning salons, same thing with all fitness. So any kind of gym or exercise program. So we are accepting complaints and concerns for all of them. That would be, I believe that was just on the bottom of your screen. So there's a web form you can fill out. There's also our tip line, which is 889-5550. You can leave an anonymous complaint because we're hearing people saying, I saw these problems at restaurants, gyms, or hair salons, but we're not actually getting the complaints. So you can leave them anonymously. We will take a look at them and make sure that they are compliant. If they are not, we will go back and do another inspection. So we have done upwards of 3 inspections on certain folks. And interestingly enough, people really start to comply. I wanted to give you some of the stats to let you know. So we're starting to do some of the harder businesses. And we're still maintaining our excellent numbers, particularly for mask usage. So with customer face mask, you're still over 90%. Same thing with the employees. You're still over 90%. People are wearing their face masks. Cleaning is, of course, what we care about a lot. And that's well over 92%. And the capacity, people are being really mindful of keeping the social distancing. And so we're seeing compliance rates well over 96% in the capacity space. Overall, for the several thousand inspections that we've done, you're looking at 53% of businesses got a gold star, right? Like they couldn't have done it better. They're doing, bang up job, A1. You have about 37% who could use some improvement. And so we've worked with them on that. And then you have about 10% who are failing, right? And so those are the ones that we're concentrating on and doing re-inspections, making sure that they understand where they're lacking and what the concerns are with their businesses. So we're doing really great. It's a lot right now just because so many things opened up in phase two, and we're trying to beef up our inspection staff to do as many inspections as possible because it's all about building this customer confidence. It's really important to get people want to go out to come back to business, no matter what kind of a business it is. And in order to do so, you really just need to have them feeling comfortable and feeling safe. So I did finally, I did my first outside dining experience, and gold star. They did a great job. We were all separated. I felt very safe. I felt very comfortable. And I hope that if you go have that experience and you don't find that you feel safe or comfortable, that you either talk to your wait staff or report it to us, because we want these businesses to succeed. And sometimes they just need a little help with understanding what the needs are. So, and with that, I guess I'll open up any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, well, thanks, Liz. And I think your point is really made very clear that, for our businesses to get back to, being productive, they need customers and they need to make sure that the customers feel safe. Sue and myself and my family will be out for a birthday dinner tonight in Providence, outside dining. And so we encourage that. And especially when we know that you're doing the inspections, and people should feel as though that you're out and about and helping keep people safe. So thank you for doing that. Joe, do you have any questions? I have a couple, but
no, Governor, you go ahead.
Yeah. So what is the expectation? I don't know if it's in your wheelhouse or not, but for instance, we have some like swim clubs or swimming pools that are limited to like 15 people in the pool. They're huge pools, and they're asking the question because they got the square footage of areas that they have swim teams with larger groups than 15. And is there anything in the makings? This is like a time sensitive thing because we got the good weather, but we only got the good weather for about 8 weeks, 10 weeks maybe. Is there any consideration on looking at that, Liz, or is that something that's more in the health department than your department? Or are you hearing anything?
So the pool guidance did come out. I have not looked at it, but that would be more of a health issue because I know that, we were looking at it as an add-on to businesses so that, there were a hotel that had a pool or a golf course that had a pool. So we looked at it more from the business perspective. So Rhode Island Department of Health would be the one for that. But I know that in the last few days, they have gotten some inquiries about that. I'm just not sure what the answer is.
Yeah. Okay. We'll follow up on that. That was one of the questions. And they were just saying, geez, if you're allowing certain capacity at camps, well, our swim pool is like a camp, and we got a large area, so hopefully we can. That flexibility piece is so important, especially if that people are following the rules that in the guidelines that you're inspecting. Hopefully, that's another encouragement to people out there. Please follow the rules and follow the standards, because that's going to allow the state have more flexibility rather than less. And if we're not, then all of a sudden you're not going to be as flexible with it, right? I mean, so that's a really important point that you made.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so we got to make sure we keep on doing that. And then there's some other venues, for instance, that are mainly working with, and again, in groups like that are larger than what's being allowed, but there are examples of similar type of age groups that are allowed to have larger groups, like the campgrounds, but yet the dance studios aren't able to have as many. And so is that being looked at? Because I think that's what we're down to now, is these smaller groups of not the large groups. Like restaurants are big, but there's like these little kind of boutique type of strategies out there that people rely on their revenue and their income, and they're feeling as though they're being a little bit more restricted because they're not really being looked at as thoroughly because the time is being spent on areas. I mean, most of your inspections are probably in restaurants right now, right? I mean, or hair salons, right? The areas, and so there's smaller niche groups. Any suggestions to them in terms of?
So I'm not sure how I can compare a campground to a dance studio, but we get that question for weddings versus restaurants too. And the answer is when you go out to dinner, rarely do you know everybody in the whole restaurant, right? Like I recognize for you, LG, on your birthday, you might know everybody who's in the restaurant, but in a wedding or in a dance studio, everybody knows everybody. And so they're all together versus if you're at a campground, you don't know all the other people at the campground or all the other people at the restaurant. So you're maintaining your traditional distance from them in smaller pods versus if you're at a wedding, everybody wants to hug and kiss each other, right? I mean, because that's what the wedding's all there for. And a dance studio, you have a bunch of kids who are all friends with each other. So there is the distinction there between the ability to all come together in one space versus if it's a campground or a restaurant, you're all in your individual spaces and you're spaced out and there's a more of a natural distancing that way.
Yeah, well, I get the explanation that they don't get it because they're trying to run their businesses, and that's why I'm still saying, and I'm not putting you in the middle of it, but let's use some of those federal dollars to help these businesses that we've asked to close to keep us safe. I mean, I don't know what the hesitancy is there. That's not I'm more editorializing to the camera right now than to you, Liz. But holy mackerel, please use those funds to help these businesses, especially the ones that are falling through the cracks. And we're going to have a couple on the show today. And I think it's more their anxiety and their pressure that they have on them, Liz. That, they're very supportive of the state. They're very supportive of the work that you're doing and out of DLT and the health department and the governor's office. It's just they feel as though they don't have a voice because they're such a small segment of the economy. But for them, it's their economy. For them, it's their economy. So,
and there's lots of other professions that ask the same questions, right? So we try very hard to be as consistent and treat everyone as fairly as possible.
Yeah, and I would say to everyone that look, Liz is trying to help small businesses. I've had the pleasure of working with Liz, for the last 5 years plus, and we talk about the importance of our small businesses. And Liz gets it as a former professional attorney or helping businesses open up. That's where her heart is in terms of the work that she's doing. So I would just encourage everybody to have professional conversations with Liz in the DBR. And if you have questions, you should be asking them. She'll respond to you and lead you in the right direction. And you might find some level of relief that you're not aware of at the moment. There may be some relief there that you're not really aware of, and you should pursue that. So Liz, thank you so much for being here. Any questions? Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. I knew the cat was out of the bag because I was told when I came on, everybody started saying happy birthday. So how did you find out? And I guess there was a couple meetings this morning. And so anyways, thanks a lot, Liz. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Ben, do you have a question of Liz?
Well, you already answered the pool stuff as best you could. And it's just weddings. People want to know if weddings will be addressed specifically in the new reopening guidelines for phase 3.
That's the big conversation, right? People are really just dying for some sort of guidance. And it's not just weddings. It's really a lot of these folks. They just want to know the answers. Yeah. The hard part is we just don't know, right? So I do encourage people to take a look at what the other states are doing. Rhode Island is far and ahead anybody in the region. So we are taking a lot of risks that the other states are watching us for. So we're just trying to do it very carefully and consciously. If you do happen to fall into one of those business types that are not allowed to open up much right now, if you see examples of what other states are doing where it's working well, we are more than welcome to take a look at that and see if they've come up with ideas to address the concerns that we haven't been able to. So, any questions like that should come our way. I think the LG started to say it, but even if you're not quite sure who to ask, or even if you're sure it doesn't belong to DBR, but you don't know where to go, please feel free to send the inquiry our way. We've become a telephone operator of sorts where we receive it. And even if it doesn't belong to us, we can shoot it out to every single state agency to find out. And if it doesn't fit into anybody's umbrella in state government, we take it on as a project of ours to try to figure out what the answer is. So do not hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, you guys. Liz. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Liz. I don't know. Did Mark Hayward show up yet? Ben?
Nope. No Mark today.
No Mark.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, he's been invited. If he comes in a little later, then we'll go that way. Joe, do you got anything that we probably could?
Yeah, I think there's
some of the SBA changes right now in terms of the idle loan in particular.
Yeah, so there's 2 updates related to those programs, and I'll try to do. It'll be worse, but probably not. Hopefully, not too much worse than what Mark would do. The first is that the Paycheck Protection Flexibility Act implementation is official. They put in the interim final rule changes that will allow those the portion of payroll will come down from 75% to 60%. The period of time will go from 8 weeks to 24 weeks, and those changes were signed into law. But as of, I believe, yesterday, it may have been late Friday, those have been put into the interim final rule. So if you need some extra guidance or clarification, you can go to sba.gov and find the new rule related to that. And the other was the announcement, and thanks to Shay and on behalf of your office for distributing this to the folks that are getting emails. The EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, has been reopened for nonprofits included. I know there was a question related to nonprofits. If you're a business or a nonprofit, you can qualify now again to put in a new application for, if you're a nonprofit, I believe it's 2.75% loan for up to 30, payable up to 30 years, and 3.75% if you're a business. Plus, there's the up to $10,000 advance is still in place. That program was shut down to everyone but agriculture businesses for 30 days due to demand and the amount of funds that it had. But as of, I think it was last night, the SBA has announced a reopening for that. One question we're getting a little bit of is, what if I've already applied and just haven't heard? It looks like the data on that, the surveys they've done have found that about 1 in 3 of folks that had applied haven't heard. And we'll get a formal clarification on that, but I believe those applications are still pending. So this is really for folks who have been looking for a way to access additional capital. That program is again reopened to businesses, nonprofits, and the like.
Yeah, and that the emergency $1,000 per employee, which is forgivable. That's part of the new package as well. It stayed, right? Yes,
that's still a part of the application. So if you haven't applied in the past, depending on the number of employees, $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000 of that will be advanced and forgiven.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're a business that has not gone for the EIDL loans and has not participated in those, in that forgivable portion based on $1,000 per employee up to $10,000, you should be making that application right now. And getting in the loop, because those dollars are not, you don't have to pay those dollars back if you receive them. If you are in the PPP loan, then it does get applied. I don't know how it does now, Joe. Suppose you want the PPP? That's a question Mark would maybe be, but you hadn't gone with the EIDL. Those and you got that emergency dollars.
Yeah.
That I wonder if that would go into your PP loan after the fact like that.
As I understand it, you're subject to the PPP maximum. So if we'll get an answer from Mark and for those.
Yeah.
But
the main thing, right? We should be encouraging businesses that have not been involved with the EIDL, who did not receive the $1,000 per employee as a forgivable part of that grant loan package. They should be applying.
Yeah, especially those folks that may not qualify for the PPP, especially.
Yeah, and it depends. The loan amount will be based on certain criteria up to that. I think up to that $150,000. That's what I was reading, although it's not for sure. But at the same point in time, if those dollars that they would get on the $1,000 per, that's theirs regardless of whether they take the loan or not.
Correct.
Yeah. So you should be out there borrowing trying to borrow those dollars. They've opened up the gates. It's been a kind of a selective process to get in. But if you have not applied for those loans, you should be, as a small business, the people we're visiting, Joe, are struggling right now, right? They're up to, we were at a daycare center in Jamestown this week. They're at about maybe 50% of their capacity. So they are struggling. And we've had other people who are significantly less, even 20, 30, 40% of their business. So if you haven't applied for that, call our office 222-2371. Email us. We'll get back to you, and we'll put you in the right spot. ltgov20@gmail.com as well. So let us know. Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Enjoy
all
the
your
day.
help. I appreciate all your help.
Thank you. Happy.
Okay, I think that's and very important. I think that those idle loans are opened up now, not just agricultural. I would be really encouraging you to get involved in that and finding out whether that works for you, because for a lot of small businesses, that $1,000 per employee can be very helpful to them, especially if they're still kind of in the reopening stage or haven't even opened yet. Those are all available, and I encourage you to be involved. That just happened yesterday, as a matter of fact, that those new guidelines came out. So you're right on top of it. Okay, so maybe I think we did the SBA stuff. So if Mark does come on, we'll kind of try to squeeze him in at the end. But let's go to the Gift It Forward panel with Justin and Chris and Laurie. Thank you very much for being here. I think you're here. Yep, you're zeroing in. Justin's not here, but we got my two amigos then. There we go. That's good.
Justin's on his way.
Yeah, and I know, and I tell you, we are getting people, and I'm referring them to the site, especially about potential training and other type of thinking out of the box right now, what the business is going to look like. Chris, tell us where we are, and then Laurie, please, fill in the spaces, fill in the gaps for us.
Well, first and foremost, happy birthday, LG. So we
Thank
hope
you
you
very
have
much.
a great day. And
Yeah,
hopefully
well,
you
I
get
tell
a
you,
nice
the sun
birthday
is
dinner
shining.
tonight.
Yeah, that's good. We'll be in Providence supporting our local small businesses.
That's great. This weekend, I was able to support a lot of the local businesses in Bristol County and Bristol and Warren, and there's some great places and bed and breakfasts and shops and restaurants. So trying to explore all the great parts of our great state. But let's talk about rismallbusiness.org. So the site's been up and running for a week now. We're getting a lot of traffic to the website because there's a lot of great resources out there for businesses that, really need as much help as we can. So, again, rismallbusiness.org will have free services from great organizations or companies that are supporting small businesses. As well as Shop Local, which Laurie will, touch upon further, and the main goal of signing and registering your business. So when you go on the website, you click that button that says Join the Coalition, and you simply just fill out your information if you haven't already. We got thousands in there, and the plan is to, come together as a group and really making sure that we advocate for, the needs of our small businesses immediately, what we need now. But this isn't just a short-term thing. This is something that can be long-term to ensure that we're constantly getting the support that we need as the backbone of our economy.
Yeah, Chris, I think it's so important what you're doing and to keep the ball rolling. And we encourage people to go to that site, still register your small business, go to that site and take advantage of the things that Laurie and Chris and Justin have put there, along with Andrea in our office.
Yeah.
And I tell you, one of the things I'm just toying around with, might as well throw it out here live, but I am still working to try to get the administration to put some of those federal dollars to the small businesses that we required to close to keep us safe. So I'll be circling back with you about strategies that we might be able to create a petition of some sort, and really try to make that a front and center issue, because those dollars are there. The requirements and the guidelines allow it, Chris. And for the life of me, as I'm walking around and talking to these businesses that are really hurting, we could help thousands of businesses right now if we just appropriated a portion of those dollars in a way that could really help them. So I'm sure, kind of put it in your head right now about thinking about how we might be able to organize through the work that we've done and the work that you've done to really put a little bit of public pressure on. And the only people that really understand these things are the people who own small businesses like yourself and Laurie. Laurie, give us your take.
Yeah, so we still have people signing up on the Shop Local site. I think we have over 700 something businesses up now. We have a total of 1,200 that, so we're getting there. They're not all up, but we have the team working on it, and we do see that a bunch of the businesses are not open yet. We are expanding the information there to highlight businesses and allow businesses to tell their stories about what's happening. It's surprising that small businesses aren't in the conversation of opening the state. And so I think there is an opportunity or a way to start communicating what the small businesses need, because we have so many businesses involved in the effort that you've created here. And happy birthday, by the way. Another birthday. But I think that, telling these business narratives, like you're listening to them every day, but actually having them on video and in print in a place where all small businesses can see what things businesses are doing that are working and what challenges they're having and how they're getting over those hurdles is a big part of the entire effort here. So, I mean, the coalition is super important right now. Businesses, don't know exactly what they need to do moving forward, and this is a huge effort toward that. So that's one thing, but creating the coalition around particular issues that these businesses need is really important. Our business included.
And I was with a business yesterday that, as you talk to them one-on-one, they say, yeah, we'd love to have the help, but what do we do? We're just a small business. And that's what I think that this effort that you and Chris and Justin have been involved in with our office, I think that we should brainstorm about how this is the moment in time. Maybe we test it out a little bit in terms of how we could, organize our groups in a way that their voice would be heard collectively. I think it's a good moment. It's a good moment as we're reopening.
The time is now.
Time is now. So I'll circle back with you, Ben. You have a comment?
I have a question for them. I know I never get to be on the second half of the show.
And they're excited to get a question. Look at them smiling.
First of all, I would just like to publicly ridicule Justin because this is now the second meeting that I've had with him today that he couldn't get on. But Gary said, how can you help provide marketing support or investment in small business that is not retail based?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
So first off, if you go on rismallbusiness.org and you go under business services, there's a few options there on how you can get free services that's mostly consulting based. So no matter what your business, whether it's retail or not, there's organizations and businesses that are providing free services, Lori and ourselves included, that's going to talk and listen to understand who your market is, how we can help, and then develop some suggestions and strategies for you at no cost. There's many ways to help, but it's all, specific to your business and who your customers are.
And I think between the three companies these particular three companies, you have such a broad range of information that we can give to you. So like from Justin's perspective, he's doing all the signage and working with businesses around like what kind of signage they need. Do they need some plexiglass? What are those options for you? And then my business focuses on social media and business strategy and external communications. And Chris's business is like the website marketing component. So you already have three options to have three really great conversations about how you're strategizing for your business at this time. So I say take advantage of that.
Yes.
And really spending a lot of time.
And Lori, as we said too, we're trying to help businesses that are opening up right now with masks and dividers, like Justin talked about. We were at a business on South Main Street in Providence yesterday, Luminous, which is involved with some of the social media issues and Cumberland kids as well, so we like them. 2 thumbs up. And then also but they're helping with some simple signs that just says which goes to what Liz was just talking about. which they can put a nicely made sign that just says, "Please wear your mask." When you're coming into the store. And so there little things like that can be helpful. We're distributing. I got another 500 masks yesterday that we're distributing, going to businesses and give them 50 at a time so that they have that. I mean, that saves them money. 50 masks a day, that's 50, 60, 80 bucks, 90 bucks, 100 bucks, right? And then we're working with Taiwan right now about an additional shipment of masks and PPE stuff, which all our small business needs. So, yeah, good question. Let's organize.
We actually do have a business on the Shop Local site that has a special right now on. They're selling masks and hand sanitizers and gloves, and so if you just go into the Shop Local, you can go into deals and specials and see who has Father's Day deals, who's doing sales on anything really that they're trying to sell and get out there. So there are masks available. Yes.
Well, as Chris says, this is the time for us to, really create a collective voice, but also continue to deliver the message which you and Laurie, Chris and Justin are doing, with Andrea in our office that, hey, shop our small businesses. They need you. And this is the time to really double down and support them. So thanks. So we'll be staying in touch, and I'll be back to you. I think it's time to put together, think about putting together this petition that says to the administration, loosen up some of those federal dollars, and those are all grants. All those dollars would be grants.
About that right now, I mean, they always do, but
and it's specific to businesses that we ask to close to keep us healthy. I think the people would understand. Hey, if I can't open my business because I want to keep you healthy, then the people in the state of Rhode Island should be supporting that business that has sacrificed, and they're sacrificing their livelihood right now to keep us healthy. We got to figure this out. That's another project for you. God bless you. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great
Happy birthday.
Thank you. All right, we're right into like the last 20 minutes or so, and we've got a couple businesses come on, a couple town administrators. Ben, how are we doing this? Are we bringing everybody on at the same time? We're bringing it on a few at a time. Tell us how we want to.
So let's see. We have some people on, some people are not.
Okay.
Are not on yet. So I'm gonna. Let's see. Caswell is not at his table right now where he's supposed to be. So I'm gonna bring on Hugo.
Yeah.
And Erica, if you're there, Erica, can you unmute yourself and put your picture on? There we go. Let's start with the business owners.
That's great. Hugo and Erica, welcome.
Happy birthday, L2.
Yeah. I don't know if it's me feedback. I think we're good. Yeah, so let's just introduce yourself, Hugo. Tell us some of the challenges we talked about yesterday. Then we'll get Erica stay on mute there, Erica, for a second. We're getting a little interference, but we'll get to you very shortly. But Hugo, we talked about it, and you just heard me talk to Liz a little bit about, that we have these different types of businesses right now that are still trying to get their footing and trying to figure out how to, survive, right?
Yeah.
And you're one of them with some of your performance, and arts and performance venues.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about where you are right now, and I think you represent many businesses in the state, so that's why I've asked you to come on again. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We've talked before about the performing arts industry. We lost our year-end recitals due to COVID-19, so we weren't able to make our money in June that would carry us over the summer. So here we are in the summer, depending on summer camps. So our summer camp season right now, it's looking a little grim. There are a lot of restrictions. So when you look at all the restrictions on all the businesses on the Reopening RI page, you'll notice the summer camps have 21 tabs of restrictions, 21 tabs of regulations, diagrams, restrictions, applications, webinars. It's a little excessive. So when trying to get our doors open for the summer, we have to pay our staff to get to where we need to be. And it costs money that we've lost over these past 3 months. So that's definitely something that we need some assistance with. And it's not just us. A lot of these restrictions have made it very difficult for businesses that have been able to open under phase 2, not really be able to open. So our business was supposed to be able to open under the fitness guidelines. We chose not to because the restrictions were a little bit too difficult for us. That's where we are. We just need some lighter restrictions to be a level, clear playing field, an even playing field with some of the other businesses who have been able to open. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and Hugo, I want to tell you that I've been in contact with many businesses, as you know, and one of them is in event planning, and they have one major event a year that got canceled, and they found themselves in a very difficult financial situation. They were their property was under a tax sale, and now the forbearance agreements are kicking in. And they don't have the revenue from this event, so the events that are being canceled are impacting many businesses and many households. And we're trying to work with the parties to make sure that this individual doesn't lose his combination house and business location. But this is real, and that's what I'm trying to impress on people. This is real. That's why I was just talking. I think you might have heard Laurie and Chris. It is time for a petition with our small businesses, in particular with the federal dollars. And some of the other things that I proposed, we're going to try to get that out there so we can pass that around to all the businesses that we met with and collectively put one statement together on behalf of our small businesses. And I know you'll be involved in that. So thank you very much for being here.
Whatever I can do to help.
You got it.
Thank you.
Erica, come on off the, I wanted you to be on because I wanted somebody from Wesley to be on because you're in a seasonal business. Tell us a little bit about your business, and we want to, and I want to talk a little bit about the early school, how that's going to impact your business.
Hi. Okay, so I'm actually in the store right now. You can see I'm moving because it's getting a little noisy. We have the schools that are opening on August 31st, or as of now, right? So we have lots of employees that are in the high schools too. So if they're in school an extra week, that's 1 week that we won't really be able to be open our normal hours. And then also that we'll have the less business from not being here. And so like the first week of school, and then it gets interrupted by a 3-day weekend. It's just kind of, I think, better all around when we can open it a week later.
Yeah, and you've already been impacted, right? Your business has already been impacted because of the COVID-19 and the restrictions and the 14-day quarantine that finally got lifted. You've already had a slow start to the season, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've had a slow start for the first couple of weeks. So, anything to get the season extended is better for us. Even today, we have road work out in front, even though it's a beautiful day.
My God.
The road was
calling DOT after this call. Make sure you're taking care of it. Is it a state project or is it a town project?
But hopefully this summer we can get somewhat normal, and if we could have an extra week, that would be a lot better for businesses.
Erica, normally, and I was a mayor for many years in the town of Cumberland, so I'm pretty aware that school departments set their schedules locally. But the state doesn't normally just mandate this is your schedule. They set whether they're going to combine their spring and winter vacation or whether they're going to have two. They set that schedule. They have requirements that they have to meet in terms of the number of days that the kids are in school. But that's what I'm asking for, and that's what we came out today with a statement, public statement saying, allow the local communities to determine what's in the best interest of their community, and especially where seasonal businesses are, that extra 6, 7, 8 days of business could make a big difference to you.
Yeah, exactly. And, Labor Day weekend is a really big weekend for us. And if we can get more people staying here that week and that weekend in the hotels and everything, go back to school, it'll help all of us.
Yeah, it's not just your surf shop; it's all the businesses that are around, and I'm happy that I'm glad you're here today because again, as I said earlier, we need our small businesses to give them a forum to speak out. We don't normally have that. That's why we have this program on weekly to make sure that we can highlight that, and then let's see whether we can do something and spread the word. But hopefully, your local media picks this up. Erica, let's have the local school committee, the local elected officials create the opening of our schools. Don't mandate one date and then have that impact our small businesses around the state in a very negative way. So, Erica, thank you for being here. Hugo, thank you for being here. We'll bring on the next crew, and I appreciate your time and your voice for our small businesses.
Lieutenant Governor, I do want to just add one thing real quick while I have the chance. Summers in Rhode Island are right. Summers in Rhode Island are very important to all the small businesses. Erica's business, my business. It's very important. Recently, I know Massachusetts today they posted a document and they changed their guidelines for summer camps. They made some changes to their guidelines. We haven't seen that yet in Rhode Island. So I'm wondering if that's something that you think we can push for them to look at these guidelines, and if there are any areas that they can lighten some of the restrictions, and even the going back to school on August 31st. It would be nice if there could be a discussion to lighten these guidelines a little bit, to give these small businesses like mine, like Erica's, a chance to breathe.
Yeah, Hugo, and I think that's what I started talking about. We're going to create some sort of a document, some sort of resolution, some sort of a petition. I think that the local municipalities, and that's why we got a couple town administrators coming on, I think that they could play a really important role for us small businesses and our local town councils. If we had a resolution or we had a petition and local communities, saw that they could pass that resolution in support of our small businesses. And that's what I was talking to Liz about, is that, to continually take a look at the flexibility issue here. And we're in a different time frame, Hugo, than we were in March 13th. Today, we're going to be in a different time frame as we move along. The awareness is a lot bigger than it has been. I see Erica's got her mask on. I'm sure when the customers come in, she's putting the mask on. That would be unheard of 10 weeks ago. Erica, I don't think that you would have a mask on today if we weren't going through this. So your awareness on this is a lot higher than it has been in the past. So yes, Hugo, I think it's time for us. I'm going to try to put together a call of all the small businesses that we've been working with and see what their appetite is to collectively try to put together some form of a petition, some sort of resolution that we can share with our local town councils, as well as deliver into the governor's office. And I know I have a couple on my list, and you have a couple on yours, and Erica will be able to share. So I think it's time to really put that together. We're going to start working on that.
Yeah,
okay, thanks.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you later. All right. Bring on the next crew. Caswell, how you doing, buddy?
Happy birthday, Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was expecting this because I know the word got out, and I said, well, I'll let everybody know. That'd be good. Oh, look at Jamie's here. Jim's here. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. You represent municipal leadership. Caswell, you're a council member in Wesley, and Jamie in Jamestown with being a town administrator, along with Jim in Narragansett. We visited each other. I've been to your offices and certainly opened our door as I'm a former municipal officer myself, right? As a town council member in my town and also as a mayor. So yeah, I wanted to have you come on because Jamie, I think when we met at Nancy's daycare center in Jamestown on Friday, we started talking about some of the things in the small businesses, and I thought, your response, you've had time to think about it, but what is your take right now in terms of the, flexibility? Or we just lost Jamie, so I'll go to Caswell because we've talked a little bit, but the flexibility that we just talked about on the school opening. Local communities normally set their schedule. Caswell, what is it going to do to lose 8-9 days of the summer? And for the Musquamacut Business Association and all the other businesses down in the Westerly area.
Well, it's terrible because we have 8 weeks to make money normally, and now we're going to have 7 weeks. So it's just it's not helpful. So I know that they probably made that decision thinking about so many things, but not thinking about the summer season. And so the fact that we've had this delayed summer season, the fact that we're, not even going to be at full strength by 4th of July probably means we really could use that extra week, because once kids go back to school, vacation, cottage rentals, hotel rentals, business during the weekdays, it all shrivels up. And then, as Erica said, we lose all the kids. They go back to school. So we really would love it if we could just have an extra week. And I'm happy as a town councilor in Westerly to submit whatever resolution and language that your office draws up. We'll put it right on the agenda for the
Great.
Westerly Town Council
We're going to get that. When's your next meeting, Caswell?
next Monday.
All right, we're going to work on that over the next this balance of this week, and really get out to the municipalities. I do have an outline of some of the things that I think the municipalities should be calling for as a former mayor, but I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But anybody who invites me to participate, I'm more than happy. But I think this issue is a timely issue, right? Let the local communities decide when they're going to open up their schools. They can take a lot of things into consideration, and one of them is the fact that this is an extraordinary time for us economically. So I would think in the consideration would be how an early opening could impact our small businesses that have already been impacted so dramatically over the last 2.5 months, 3 months. Jim, welcome. How's everything down in Narragansett?
It's fine, Lieutenant Governor. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you for being there.
I did speak to the school superintendent yesterday. We talked a little bit about the early opening of the schools. And although not a major deal, as far as I haven't heard too many local businesses speak out too much about it. However, there has been a suggestion that at a bare minimum, if the municipalities are bound by this mandatory schedule laid out by the state, that at bare minimum they consider Labor Day weekend is particularly a busy weekend throughout Southern Rhode Island and all over the state. And if they could a Friday, making it a 4-day weekend for the schools at a bare minimum, because they lose so much of the small businesses lose so much of their summer help. Even the municipalities do. We stay open to Labor Day, and all the kids go back to school, and that's who mans our beach.
Yeah, Jim, school schedules have been really historically set by the local community and the local school board. So, I'm not suggesting that somehow that across the board you change the dynamics completely, but what I'm suggesting is, as a former mayor, local responsibility for the, setting the time frame. You can take all those things into consideration, Jim, in your community in Narragansett. You may, through the school department and yourself and your council members and the school committee members, you may come to a different schedule than Westerly might. But at least you would have the local ability to take all the things in consideration.
Correct.
So that's what that's why I wanted you to come on today and just indicate that, that one size fits all doesn't fit all. And go ahead, Jim.
If it's going to be like it is currently right now, it might not make a huge difference, but we certainly expect it to open up a lot more. More people are going to be employed in small businesses throughout the summer. It's not going to be right away, like Caswell said. It's going to extend out, and the summer's already shortened. And if they don't have the staff, it's going to hurt them even more.
Yeah, I think that's what Erica was saying, earlier from the surf shop in Westerly. But the other thing too to really, make sure that we take into consideration here is the fact that as municipal leaders, and I still have that hat on, very aware, my antennas are up. The more you're able to allow your economy to open up, the easier it's going to be for you to balance your budgets, period. Because there's going to be, and I've visited many, many businesses, and many of them are really concerned about paying their rent, paying their taxes, paying their tangible taxes. All this is revenue. So when, as a former business person myself in a health club for 30 plus years, and we still have business interest right now in a family business, if we lost 2 or 3 days of our busiest months in a fitness business, which is that January, February timeframe, March timeframe, if we lost 2 or 3 or 4 of those days to a snow or whatever it was, that was a tough month for us. And I think that's what we want to tell the business, the people out there, the leaders who have never ran a business before. When you talk about 4, 5, 6, 7 days of your peak time frame, that's like a month and a half of business. If in fact you're consolidating all your revenue into a 3-month time frame, for instance, 70, 80% of your revenue in a 3-month time frame. those 5 or 6 days are not 5 or 6 days to those individuals. That's like a month worth of revenue that gets them in the tail end of December, January, February, and brings them across the finish line so that they can keep their expenses under control.
The summers traditionally throughout the state, obviously they help the businesses carry it through the winter, but especially South County, Narragansett, Charlestown, some of South Kingstown, Westerly. If they don't make it in the summer, they can't make it through the winter.
There you go, Jim. So Jim and Caswell, I mean, if you had local authority to set your schedule, you have to be open the 182 days anyways. It's not that all of a sudden you're cutting your school year short. You're just adjusting it based on what the benefit of your community. Caswell, do you have any problem with Christine, deciding when the schools are going to open up in Westerly rather than the state?
Well, I have a unique situation being on the town council. My wife is the chairwoman of the school committee, so we do communicate. No, but what's really weird is that they spent all these years trying to get rid of February vacation, which they finally did. And so there's only the it's not called Easter vacation, but that April vacation thing. So we've survived the last few years without this February vacation. Now all of a sudden February vacation's back in for us. And I'm just sitting there going, well, give us that extra week of the summer. Who wants to go back to school when it's still August? It just doesn't even sound right.
You're not going to have too many surfboard rentals in February and down in Westerly.
We're not.
Well.
No, and I'm not here to help Florida's economy for vacation. So I want to help.
They surf here in February. They may not buy the stuff, but they surf in February here.
That's true.
Yeah. It's true. So, Jim, thank you so much for being on today. Appreciate it. You're, one of the municipal leaders out there that are juggling a lot of issues right now, and this is just one of them. So, thanks for taking the time to be supportive of your small businesses in your community. I know they appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation, Governor.
You got it, Jim. Caswell, thank you very much for being here. We'll be talking. Yeah. So that gives a perspective from a municipal point of view. Just thinking about an August 31st timeline for opening the schools without talking with the people who it's going to impact, that's, hopefully we're going to be able to kind of reverse that. I mean, there's no reason that we can't let local communities determine when they're going to open up their schools. And the state needs to continue to provide the guidelines of what those reopenings look like. There's certainly a need for a consistent safety and health issue. And again, we continue to talk about the importance of following the health department, Dr. Scott, the governor's office, and the governor trying to keep us safe. And we need to make sure that we follow those guidelines. But in the same breath, we need to keep that flexibility going. So we'll be out talking to you. If you want to participate, by the way, in helping us craft a petition, some level of resolutions that we can ask the local councils to pass on behalf of the small businesses, call our office, 222-2371. Email us at ltgov20@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you included in that conversation. We're going to ratchet that up over the next 48 hours and see whether we can have something prepared for Caswell Cook and the Westerly Town Council for their Monday night meeting. Thank you all for being here today, and please tune in tomorrow night. Very important broadcast with two of our finest chiefs of police, and also with Chief Sullivan in Lincoln and Chief Clements in Providence, along with a doctor who is a professor that works with racial bias training in police departments, and along with our president of the local NAACP, Jim Vincent. It's going to be very, very important show. We keep that conversation going, and we have to keep more than one ball in the air. But support your small businesses until we get back together again. And we appreciate you listening and your time and all your questions. Thank you so much.